those of you old enough, if not, you can still get the idea. The original Star Trek. There was a particular episode about an empath, a cute pixie-ish girl that they find on some planet, and they're in some room and they don't know what they're doing there, but basically she's an empath. And what made it very clear and accurately is that an empath feels the feeling. Empathy is to feel the feeling, to be at one with that person's feelings. So, she could do it also medically. So one of the crew, I think it was the doctor, I'm not even sure, Bones, she had to do her number, her empath number, and cure him. But every time she took in somebody else's emotional or physical pain, it diminished her. And at some point, she would probably die. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because in the healthcare professions, the word compassion and empathy are often used interchangeably, and they're not even close to each other. Not only that, some people, as I told you, it becomes a business. Okay, we have a new syndrome, compassion fatigue. That's like PTSD. Yeah, there is no such thing as compassion fatigue. Now, the reason that people who are high geared in empathy start having problems is that they lose the sense that that person and themselves are two different people. They confuse themselves with the other person. That the emotion they're resonating with is actually the emotion of the other person, like the empath in that story. When the distinction between self and other gets blurred, and we keep taking on the emotional pain of another person as our own pain, we're going to be in trouble. We develop aversive, self-oriented response to the suffering of others. In other words, we get away from them. We withdraw. Now, this is actually chemical in the brain. Chronic pain, whether it's mental or physical, depletes, and you've heard this word, dopamine levels within the brain circuitry that is mediating reward and motivation. So when you get locked into empathic distress, you have a blunted capacity to experience pleasure. Your motivation is decreased. This keeps going, and you become what we call burned out. So, prolonged empathy is very self-destructive. In contrast to empathy, compassion is characterized by a feeling of warmth and concern and care with a motivation to try to help improve the other's well-being. That means compassion is not feeling with the person the feelings they're feeling, but it means to have feelings for them. And unlike empathy, compassion increases activity in the brain, oxytocin-related processes. It enhances positive emotions in response to adverse situations. So while empathizing can invoke your own feelings of sadness, shifting to compassion results in sympathy and positive emotional feelings that counterbalance the sadness because you're getting into action to be helpful. Now, as a psychotherapist, I can tell you, if you spend your time in empathy, you're going to self-destruct. And also, there's no motivation to be helpful. You're just suffering along with the other person. That is of little use to anybody. But compassion generates positive emotion. It doesn't fatigue you. It's actually neurologically rejuvenating. So it becomes important for doctors, nurses, therapists, veterinarians, anybody who deals with a lot of profound feelings has to learn to shift into compassion, and you can cultivate that. Turning empathy into compassion. There's something called compassion training, even. People meditate to get out of being at one with the sufferer to being separate and therefore able to be helpful. People who are more into compassion than empathy develop long-lasting changes in attitudes and behaviors, which are very pro-social, which are very good. Empathy, chronically, is destructive. My number, 1-800-375-2872.